United States and the Philippines are strengthening their military partnership in response to escalating tensions in the Indo-Pacific, particularly due to China's growing assertiveness in the South China Sea. In a move that underscores Washington's commitment to Manila's defense, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth recently visited the Philippines to announce expanded military cooperation.
There's a long line of countries in the past who have attempted to test U.S. resolve. We are resolved at this time, at this moment, to work with our partners to reestablish the warrior ethos, to rebuild our military and reestablish deterrence, and come alongside our allies and partners, first and foremost, in this region.
This reinforcement includes increased financial aid, intelligence sharing, joint military exercises, and an expanded Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, EDCA, granting U.S. forces greater operational access within Philippine territory. As part of this strategic alignment, trilateral maritime drills involving the U.S., Japan, and the Philippines are underway in contested waters, signaling a shift in America's regional approach to countering Beijing's expansionist ambitions. At the core of this military buildup are the ongoing territorial disputes between China and the Philippines. With Washington providing advanced defense systems such as anti-ship missiles and unmanned surface vessels to bolster Manila's security, plans for joint special forces exercises in Batanes, the Philippine province closest to Taiwan, further highlight the heightened strategic stakes. Despite a 2016 international tribunal ruling in favor of the Philippines, China has continued its militarization of the South China Sea, constructing artificial islands and fortifying outposts. Hegseth strongly condemned Beijing's actions, calling China a communist threat and reaffirming the Trump-era doctrine of peace through strength.
As I said, of our ironclad alliance, particularly in the face of communist China's aggression in the region. And our partnership demonstrates our commitment to peace and security in the Indo-Pacific. As our president, who sends his greeting, President Donald Trump talks about often and demonstrates, we will achieve peace through strength. We do not seek war, we seek peace, but those who long for peace must prepare for war.
In a show of tangible support, the U.S. has pledged $500 million in military aid, while a newly signed defense agreement outlines collaboration in key areas such as unmanned systems, critical minerals, ammunition components, and ship maintenance, enhancing the Philippines' military readiness while opening doors for U.S. defense contractors. China has denounced these developments, accusing Washington of stoking ideological divisions and warning Manila against further escalating tensions. While some analysts caution that a military-driven approach could exacerbate instability rather than promote peace, the U.S. maintains that its actions are purely defensive, aimed at deterring aggression rather than provoking conflict. As America reasserts its military posture in the region, Hegseth emphasized that while the U.S. does not seek war, it remains prepared for any eventuality.
There was a lot of talk about shifting, a lot of talk about emphasis on the Indo-Pacific, a lot of talk about allies. What the Trump administration will do is deliver, is truly prioritize and shift this region of the world in a way that is unprecedented to match the threats of the future.
The deployment of advanced weapon systems and high-profile joint exercises serves as a calculated message to Beijing. Washington is committed to backing its diplomatic efforts with military strength if necessary. This evolving alliance between the U.S. and the Philippines marks a significant shift in regional security, raising critical questions about whether deterrence will succeed in curbing Chinese expansionism, or if it will push the Indo-Pacific closer to confrontation. The 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty, MDT, is the foundation of the U.S.-Philippines alliance. It legally obligates both nations to come to each other's defense in the event of an armed attack. Secretary Hegseth reaffirmed America's commitment, describing it as ironclad, and stating, "The United States will stand shoulder to shoulder with the Philippines in upholding international law and resisting coercion in the South China Sea.
And we find that in friends like our friends in the Philippines. But do not mistake our friendship. Do not mistake our belief in peace and our desire for peace for a lack of resolve. Too many have. And America still stands strong today and will continue into the future.
This pledge echoes President Joe Biden's earlier warning that any attack on Philippine armed forces, vessels, or aircraft in the South China Sea would trigger the treaty.
I want to be clear. I want to be very clear. The United States defense commitment to the Philippines is ironclad. The United States defense agreement with the Philippines is ironclad. Any attack on the Filipino aircraft, vessels, or armed forces will invoke our mutual defense treaty with the Philippines.
Hegseth's visit comes at a time when Chinese Coast Guard ships and maritime militias have been repeatedly harassing Philippine vessels in the West Philippine Sea, the portion of the South China Sea that falls within the Philippines' Exclusive Economic Zone, EEZ. To strengthen the armed forces of the Philippines, AFP, the U.S. has significantly increased its military aid. Reports indicate that Washington has pledged between $500 million and $670 million to modernize the AFP, which still relies on outdated equipment compared to its neighbors. This funding will help Manila acquire new naval vessels to patrol its waters, advanced radar systems for better maritime surveillance, mobile anti-ship missile platforms, including the latest versions of the HIMARS, High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, surveillance drones to monitor illegal activities and Chinese military movements in disputed waters. This boost in assistance is crucial, as the Philippine Navy and Air Force are among the weakest in Southeast Asia, making them vulnerable to China's growing naval presence. One of the most significant steps in U.S.-Philippines cooperation is the strengthening of intelligence sharing agreements. The two countries recently signed the General Security of Military Information Agreement, GSOMIA, which allows for the exchange of classified intelligence. Additionally, the U.S. and the Philippines launched a bilateral cyber campaign aimed at strengthening cybersecurity defenses. This comes as cyber attacks on government and military networks have increased, many of them traced back to Chinese state-sponsored hacking groups. The United States and the Philippines have dramatically increased joint military training to improve interoperability between their forces. The most notable is the Balikatan, shoulder to shoulder exercise, one of the largest multinational military drills in the Indo-Pacific. The 2024 Balikatan exercise saw over 17,600 troops participating, including 12,000 U.S. troops and 5,000 Philippine forces. The deployment of the NMESIS, Navy Marine Expeditionary Ship Interdiction System, a new U.S. anti-ship missile system designed to counter Chinese naval threats. Live-fire exercises in the Batan's Islands, the northernmost part of the Philippines, just 190 kilometers, 118 miles from Taiwan, signaling Manila's willingness to assist in case of a Taiwan conflict. Under the EDCA, the U.S. now has access to 9 Philippine military bases, including Basa Air Base, Pampanga, key Air Force hub near the South China Sea, Naval Base Camilo Osias, Cagayan, strategic naval facility close to Taiwan, Balabac Island, Palawan, vital for monitoring Chinese activities in the West Philippine Sea. Hegseth announced that Washington is investing in logistical improvements, base infrastructure, and pre-positioning military supplies at these EDCA sites.
So today we published a joint statement outlining our priority areas for cooperation. This includes co-producing unmanned systems and increasing combined logistics support. I was just in Guam before I came here. We can talk about big systems and advanced technologies, but if you don't have logistics support, I see the folks who run militaries and run formations, you need logistics support to actually operate and advance forward. These initiatives will help us share burdens and promote a more comprehensive partnership.
This ensures that in case of conflict, U.S. forces can quickly deploy to defend the Philippines. The Philippines is at the heart of the territorial disputes in the South China Sea, where China claims nearly 90% of the waters under its so-called 9-dash line, a claim rejected by the 2016 International Tribunal ruling in The Hague. China's aggressive actions have escalated including using water cannons to block Philippine supply boats in Ayungin, St. Thomas, Shoal, building artificial islands with military bases, radar systems, and airstrips, deploying maritime militias that swarm Philippine-controlled areas. Manila's location makes it a strategic asset for Washington in countering China. The Philippines provides the U.S. with forward operating bases in case of a conflict in Taiwan or the South China Sea. Former U.S. Indo-Pacific Command Chief Admiral Philip Davidson warned in 2021, China could attempt to invade Taiwan within the next 6 years. The Philippines would be a critical ally in any regional conflict. For this reason, the U.S. is prioritizing military cooperation with Manila to prevent China from altering the regional balance of power. The U.S. continues to challenge China's claims by conducting freedom of navigation operations, FONOPs, which involve U.S. Navy warships sailing through contested waters. The U.S. has conducted these operations near the Spratly Islands, where China has built military bases. Scarborough Shoal, claimed by both China and the Philippines. Shoulder to shoulder against aggression. Hegseth and other U.S. officials have repeatedly stated that America stands with its allies. The United States and the Philippines are united in defending freedom, sovereignty, and international law. We will not allow any country to change the status quo through coercion.
But specifically in this region, in your country, considering the threats from the Communist Chinese, and that friends need to stand shoulder to shoulder to deter conflict, to ensure that there's free navigation. Whether you call it the South China Sea or the West Philippine Sea, we recognize that your country has stand very firm in that location and in defense of your nation. So we are honored to be here. Our whole team is honored to be here to engage in even deeper conversations about partnership in detail. And thank you for your leadership in being a friend to the United States. We look forward to many more opportunities to work together.
This reassures smaller nations in the region that the U.S. remains committed to maintaining stability in the Indo-Pacific. China has dramatically increased its military spending, reaching $224 billion in 2023, the second highest in the world after the U.S. This has allowed Beijing to expand its naval fleet to over 340 warships, making it the largest navy globally. Threat to regional stability. China's rapid military buildup, along with its expansive claims in the South China Sea, has increased conflicts with neighboring countries like Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia, escalated U.S.-China tensions, making conflict more likely, undermined the international rules-based order by ignoring legal rulings. The U.S.-Philippines military partnership has entered a new phase of strength as both nations respond to China's growing assertiveness. With expanded U.S. military access, increased financial aid, and more joint training, Washington and Manila are sending a clear message. China's aggression in the Indo-Pacific will not go unchecked. While these efforts enhance deterrence, they also increase the risk of potential confrontations in the South China Sea and beyond. As China continues to push its territorial ambitions, the Philippines, backed by the U.S., is emerging as a key player in shaping the future of the Indo-Pacific. Thank you for tuning in to our channel. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analysis of global issues.